Hello and welcome to ukramedia.com. My name is Sergey Praknevsky, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create this weekly weather forecast. I'm going to show you how to bring in Illustrator files, how to animate them, and how to link up all the data you see in here to an external JSON file like this one. And definitely what that means is this. We can make all the changes from this text file and it will automatically adjust the graphic in here. So for example, instead of New York, I'm going to change this right here. Instead of this New York, I'm going to change it to Boston. And then maybe temperature, we're going to take it up to 65. And let's make it cloudy, 1, right? And then we can adjust all the other days. So each line of code represents each graphic here. So you can instantly change everything you want. Maybe instead of 23 right here, we can change it to 25. And then once you're done making all the changes, you can press Control S and go back to After Effects. And you can see it instantly changes everything. Very dynamic, super useful. So we'll go over that. I'll show you how to set it up. But not only that, we'll talk about master properties and how useful they are. I mean, essentially, you can create templates and use just one composition many times and change the data in them, and it will not affect that composition. Let me show you what I'm talking about. For example, right now I have this test comp, and I have this, I guess it's a composition that had master properties. So I can move this, and I can duplicate it multiple times and move this one, maybe right next to it, and essentially create a weekly weather forecast, right? But the cool thing about it, even though it's one composition, it does have master properties. So I can go into one of them and change the master properties. Let's say the day. I can change it to Tuesday. Press OK. You can see it changed to Tuesday. And then I can change the temperature to 65. And then you'll see 65. And then also this weather, this icon right here, I can change it to something like snow, and you'll see snow. I can change it to cloudy, you'll see cloudy, and all of that stuff animates. It's very dynamic. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set all of these things up. So definitely download the project file and let's go right into it. All right, so we are in After Effects, and we're going to start fresh. We're going to create a new composition by clicking on this icon. And we're going to label it 00_weather forecast. And then make sure you set this HDTV 1080 29.97 preset. And then duration 15 seconds. Press OK when you're done. And then we're going to move this into a new folder. We're going to name it 01_comps. And then we're going to bring in our assets, all of our vector files. So double click here, and then we're going to go to navigate to the vectors folder. And then in here, we're going to select all 4 of our vectors, and then make sure you have this checkbox for create composition checked, and then set import as to composition retain layer sizes, and then import. And now we have compositions created for every single vector file. Then we're going to move them into a new folder. We're going to call it pre-comps. Okay, and then we're going to move that into comps folder. We're going to select all of those layers, as you can see, those layers right here, and move them into a new folder. We're going to call them 02_assets. All right, so now we have a structure. You do want to have some kind of structure to be organized. So next, let's animate this sunny icon. So double click on it. And in here, we're going to animate this sun rays. So we're going to select this, press R to reveal the rotation property, and then also hold down Shift S to reveal the scale property. So we're going to be animating scale and rotation. So for rotation, we're going to hold down Alt and click on the stopwatch to create an expression. We're going to type time times 30. And if I preview this, you can see it's animating, which is great. Then we're going to go to the beginning of this composition, click on this stopwatch to create a new keyframe, and let's move that to 95. So the first one is 95. Shift page down 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go forward 50 frames. And let's move that up to 115. All right. So we have a second keyframe, shift page down 5 times again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's take it back down to 95 and select all of them, F9 to make it easy ease. So now we have like a scale movement. So it kind of goes up and then back down, but then it stops after this keyframe. So we want to loop this keyframe animation forever. So we're going to alt click on the stopwatch, and we're going to go to property and click on this loop out duration. So now this expression will loop our keyframe animation. So it's going to do that till the very end. So that's exactly what we want. So we do have our sunny icon animated. So next, let's go to cloudy. So double click on this cloudy. Obviously nothing is moving here, but we do have the sun, and I don't want to be animating the sun again. So we're going to reuse this composition. So just click and drag and drop it right underneath the cloud layer. And then make sure you have snapping checked. And we're going to snap right over the top the sun right here. So this is the comp that we have that's animated. right? We're gonna drop it right over the top of this sun, and then we're just gonna get rid of those two because we no longer need them. So now we have the sun that's animated, but the cloud isn't. So we do want to animate the cloud. We're gonna select the cloud, press P to reveal the position property, and make sure you go to the beginning of our composition, set a keyframe, but we're gonna set it at 285. Okay, and then shift page down 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and set this one to 320. So 320. So now it's gonna go whoop like that. That's great. So from here, shift page down 5 times again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to take it back down to 285. Like this, select all of them, F9 to make it easy ease. So it's moving, but obviously it's not gonna continue after this keyframe. So we're going to loop it. Alt click on a stopwatch to create an expression. Let's go to property and loop out duration. So now this animation will loop. So let's preview this real quick. As you can see, it's working well. After this keyframe, our cloud is still moving, so it's perfect. All right, we have 2 of them animated. Let's go to rain. Now this one's slightly different. We have the cloud and we have all these raindrops. They're just like straight lines. So what I wanna do, I'm gonna select all of them, right click, and then create. We're going to convert them or create shapes from vector layers. So when you click on it, as you can see, it creates shape layers, and we can actually right click and go to invert selection. So it's going to invert everything. And then we're going to hold down Control and deselect this cloud. So we're going to get rid of all of these original vector files. So hit delete. So now we have the cloud and vector shape layers instead of vector files. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new null layer. Now I'm not going to use the solid. I'm just going to right click, new. I'm not going to go for this one. I'm going to say shape layer. And by default, it just creates a blank, like a shape layer shell with nothing in it other than just a point. So it's a great null object or null layer. So I'm going to select this, press enter to rename it to something like control. That's good. And then we're going to select this, go into effect controls panel, right click. We're going to bring this expression control, slider control. So now we have a slider, it's just a menu item, and we're going to rename it to something like animation. Okay, so then I'm going to bring it up in here. So select this, press E to see it in here. I'm going to press Control Alt Shift and click on this to get rid of it. So now we have just the slider. We're going to use that later. So next, what I want to do, I'm going to go into this raindrop one outline. So this line right here, and we're going to go deep into it. And we're going to go all the way to group 1 and stroke 1, and then all the way to dashes. So we're going to add dashes, and then we're going to just play with this right here. We're going to set it to 50. As you can see, now it looks like a rain or something like that, but we can animate this offset property. And now it looks like rain. However, here's what I want to do. I want to link the offset property of this to this animation slider, because you'll see later. So I'm going to select this offset, hit S twice to solo it, and then I'm going to alt click on a stopwatch. And in here, we're going to create an expression. So I'm going to say value, and value is just a keyword that refers to our current value. So whatever we type in here, that's what it refers to. Then I'm going to say plus, and then I'm going to pick whip to the slider right here, and I want the value of it. Okay, so basically now I can change this value from here or from here, but we're going to be animating this value and offsetting that value. It will make a lot more sense going forward. So now what I want to do, make sure nothing is selected, press Control F, or just go in here and type the following. We're going to type stroke 1. And then we have the stroke 1 of our first layer. So make sure you select this, press Control C to copy it, and then select all the other ones, Control Select. And then once you have all 4 of them selected, press Control V to paste. And now all of them look the same, which is great. Let's get rid of this. So now we can go to Control here and we can animate this. However, we do have a problem. They all look the same. So we need to offset some of them. So let's offset this one and also that one. So in here, I'm going to select Raindrop 2 and Control Select the 4th one here. And then go back to the timeline search bar and let's search for offset. Okay, I have both of them in here. I'm going to select the first one, Control select the first one, Control select the second one, and then right click and go to edit value. And in here, we're going to offset it by 30. So once I hit OK, watch what happens. It does look a lot better. I'm going to get rid of this. So now if I go back to Control, and if I move on this, it's giving me something very interesting. So now I can go over here, select this, press E to reveal this slider in our timeline. And then in here, we're going to do the following. So I'm going to alt click on a stopwatch here to create an expression. So we're going to create some kind of animation. We're going to say time times, and we're going to say something like negative 150. And the reason why I said negative, because I wanted to go down, not up. So when I click away, you can see we get rain. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. So we're done with that one. Let's keep going. Then next we have, let's say we did cloudy, or did we do it? Yeah, we did cloudy. So next, let's go to thunderstorm. So in here, I want to bring in this rain. So now we have rain. So we're almost there, right? So let's animate this cloud. So we have this cloud. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to go to Effect Controls panel in here and right click, and we're going to go to Generate, and we're going to click on this fill right here. So click on that. It basically just adds color, and we're going to change it to black. All right. We're also going to change the opacity of it to something like 50. Basically, now it looks like a rain cloud. So then we're going to select this, press T to reveal the opacity of this cloud, and alt click on the stopwatch to create an expression. So essentially what I want to do, I want to create something like this. So we're going to use a wiggle method for that. So I'm going to say wiggle, and then I'm going to say 850. So if I preview this, it looks like a rain cloud. You can see there's a lot of light going on there. So that's good. Now let's animate this right here, this lightning here. So I'm going to right click on it, and we're going to create shapes from vector layer. So we're going to convert it into a shape layer and delete the old one. And then we're going to go into it, and we're going to add this wiggle transform. So inside here, we're going to adjust some settings. For the wiggles, we're going to take it up to 8. And then for transform, we're going to set the position of the X to 10, and then of the Y to something like 50. And scale, we're going to take it up to 30%. So now if I preview this, watch what happens. So it definitely looks like a thunderstorm. So we're almost there. We need to do one more. Even though we have 4 in here, we are missing 1, and that is the snow icon. But we don't have it, so what we need to do, we're going to use the rain composition to create snow. So I'm going to select this, press Ctrl D to duplicate it, and select it again. Press Enter key to rename it to snow. We're going to double click here, and we're going to adjust some settings to convert this rain into snow. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to select this Control, press E twice to reveal expressions, right? So we're going to slow down the fall. So we're going to take it way down to like -30. So now it looks more like snow, right? Snowfall is kind of slow. It's very light. However, it doesn't look like this. So we need to go and adjust some settings in here. So we're going to go to Contents, and all the way to group 1, and then stroke 1. And then right here where it says dashes, we're going to take this dash value all the way to 0, and then add a gap by clicking on this plus sign. And then let's take this all the way to 50. So now it looks like a snowflake, right? For sure. But the snow doesn't really fall like in a straight line. So we need to create some kind of zigzag movement here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select Contents, and then I'm going to go to Add, and we're going to add Zigzag. And then in here, we're going to adjust some settings. So size, we're going to take it up to 8. And then ridges, we're going to take that down to 2. And then points, we're going to take it to smooth. So now if I preview this, it looks more like, I don't know, it looks like snow to me. So now what I'm going to do, make sure nothing is selected. Go over here to timeline search bar. You can use a shortcut, Control F. And then in here, I'm going to search for stroke 1, comma, and then zigzag. In fact, I already have it in here. All right, so then we're going to go to the first one, the one that we just created, and I'm going to select stroke 1, and then we're going to Control Select Zigzag 1. So once you have it selected, Control C to copy it, and then we're going to select stroke 1 of all the other layers, and then we're going to press Control V to paste. So now all of them look the same. Let me get rid of this. And I mean, obviously it's not looking all that great. However, we need to offset some of them. So just like we did for the rain, we're going to select this one and Control Select that one. And then we're going to go back to the timeline search bar. We're going to search for offset. Okay, we're going to select this one, Control Select that one as well. Right click on one of them and then edit value. And we're going to take it up to 30. So we're going to offset it by 30. All right, so now let's preview this. Let's see what that looks like. And as you can see, it definitely looks like snow to me. All right, so now we have all of those icons created, and let's create a new composition that's going to play a role of a template. So watch this. I'm going to select all of these and move them into a new composition, and make sure create is set to single composition, and then still duration 15. That should be like that by default. Once you're done, press OK. It's going to create a new composition. We're going to press Enter and rename this to something like weather. Okay, we're going to double click here. And in here, we're going to create a new control layer that I like to use. So right click, new, and then shape layer. So we're going to select this, press enter, label this control. And then we're going to go to effect controls panel right here, right click. And we're going to go to expression controls. We're going to add this new drop-down menu control. And I'll be honest with you, I've been waiting for this for a very long time. It's a new feature of After Effects that just came out. So we're going to click on it and we're going to name it something like weather. So in here, we're going to list different conditions like sunny, thunderstorm, and this list will match to the way we have things in here. So the order of these should be identical. So let's do that. So we're going to create more items here. We're going to click on edit. And in here, we're going to add a few more. So first one's going to be cloudy. So we're going to type cloudy. And then the second one's going to be rain. Third one's going to be snow. And then it's sunny. And then the last one is thunderstorm. All right, so we have all 5 of them in here, the same as here. Make sure they're identical. Press OK when you're done. So now we have them in here, but it's just a menu button. It doesn't do anything. If I click on sunny, I don't really see sunny. So we have to do some more work. We need to do some expressions. Here's what we need to do. We're going to go and select this cloudy. Now notice this, very important point. This drop-down menu, even though it has all these, different weather conditions, it's still just a number. Like it really, the value of this cloudy is 1, and then 2, and then 3. So think of it just numbers. So don't get confused here, but it'll make more sense here in a second. So in the same way here, we have, that's the index 2, 3, but we do have this one for 1. So we'll have to do some shifting to make this index 1 and not 2, but you'll see here in a second. So I'm going to select cloudy, press T to reveal the opacity. And then I'm also going to select this one, press E to reveal this menu. I'm going to press down Control Alt Shift and then click on this to get rid of this, to kind of buy us some more space. And then we're going to alt click on this opacity to create an expression for it. And in here, we're going to create a variable called weather. So it's a totally made up word, doesn't mean anything, but we're going to tell it to be something. So we're going to say weather, you're going to be this drop down menu. And we're going to say we want the value of it. Now, again, remember, value of it is not all of these words, right? It's just a number. So cloudy will give us 1, as you can see, and rain will give us 2. And like the last one is like the 5th one, right? It will give us 5. So again, the value of this drop down menu is just a number. All right, so in here, we're going to do a conditional statement. We're going to say if, and I'm going to say if the weather variable, which is the drop-down menu, the value right here, if that equals to the index of our current layer, I'm going to say index, and it's a keyword for our current index, which is 2, right? So if the weather equals to 2, in other words, if we pick the second one, right, then be 100. But if this statement is not true, I'm going to say else, and then I'm going to say be 0. All right, so right now, if I pick 2, it's 100 because that's 2, right? Index, so weather equals to 2. And because of that, this statement is true, it goes to 100. But once it's false, if I go to this one, then does weather equal to 2? So we have 2, weather is not 2, it's 5. So because of that, it's false, and then goes to the second value, which is 0. That's what it is. But we do have a problem because this list doesn't match this list because it's not number 1. Cloudy is not number 1 in our composition, but it is here. So we need to offset that. So we're going to say index, take the current index, which is 2, and subtract 1, which will give us 1. So 2 minus 1 will give us 1. So when I pick cloudy, this means 1, right? Does it 1 equal to 1? Because index is 2 minus 1, which is 1. So this will be true, and it will give us 100, right? So that fixes it. And you might be wondering, like, why are we doing index? Well, because we're going to paste this code to all the other layers, and the index of each layer is different. So it's going to play a huge role. It's kind of difficult to wrap your head around it, but watch it again, it'll make more sense. So we're going to copy the opacity right here, select this, copy it, Control C, and then I'm going to select all the other layers and press Control V to paste it. So now all of them have the exact same expression applied to the opacity. So now I can easily pick, for example, let's do cloudy. You can see cloudy. Let's do snow. Let's do something like sunny or thunderstorm. So you get the idea. So we can easily call up whatever graphic we want and we don't have to create a custom code for every single layer. We just created one that will work for any layers. So if you want to bring in more icons, you just copy and paste the opacity and just paste it to all the other layers, and it should work just fine. All right, so now that we have this created, the next step is to convert it into a master properties. You'll see what master properties are, but if you want to learn more, I have created a video for it, and you can check it out at the bottom of this video in the description. I'm sure there'll be a link. Just click on it and learn more about master properties. So here's what we need to do. Right click here, go to Open in Essential Graphics. And now we have a new window pop up here. It's a new panel. And in here, we're going to just change this name to weather. And then we're going to drag this menu in here and make sure you label it something like weather. All right. So after you created all of this, you converted this property into a master property, which in a way, this composition becomes like a template. And here's what I mean by that. So for example, if I create a new composition, just a blank one, this is just an example. And if I move this weather into this new composition, right? If I move a bunch of them, this composition plays a role of a template. And if I wanted to change every single one of them, I don't have to worry about creating a new composition in here. I can literally just go to the master properties here and then just change it to snow. And then now it will change to snow. And then this one, I can set it to something else, maybe sunny, and so on. So master properties are amazing. And if you used After Effects for years, you can see the value of it. All right, so now that we have created a template for our icons, let's create a few more templates for things like Monday, Tuesday. So for days, different days that we can duplicate and use multiple times. So we're going to select this folder right here and create a new composition into that folder. So click on that icon. And then in here, we're going to change the name of it to weather. And it's going to be day. Make sure that width is set to 180 pixels and then height 700. And then frame rate should be the same. And also duration should be 15 seconds. So press OK once you're done. You'll see it in here. Double click. You can see that it looks different. That's good. Then what I want to do, I want to select the timeline here. Make sure you click here. And then double click on this rectangular tool to create a new shape layer that's the same size as our layer right here as our composition. So then select this layer, press enter and rename it to background. Okay, now we're going to select this and make sure that the fill is set to solid and make sure stroke is set to none. All right, next you want to right click here and go to layer styles and then click on this gradient overlay. So then it applies a gradient and we're going to adjust some settings. So I don't want it to go up and down. I want for it to go side to side. So in here under angle, we're going to take it down to 0. So now go side to side. Let's edit these colors. So the first color is going to be set to, we're going to say 0, 1 and then ACEA. That's the first color. And then the second color is going to be set to 0, 1, 9, F and then D9. So if you look at this, you can see both of these colors are very similar. However, if you would see them side by side, you would see that there's a difference, but you'll see that later. All right, so we have the background created. Next, I want to bring in this weather comp. Let's place it right above this layer. And then I'm going to select this, press S to reveal the scale property. And let's take it down to 30%. So that's good. We're going to select this again, press P, and let's take the Y down to about 450, something like that. That's awesome. Next, let's bring in some text. We're going to double click on this type tool to bring text to the center of our composition here. And we're going to type 0 3 times. It's going to be our placeholder. So then we're going to select this text layer, press enter to rename it to day. That's going to be our day. And it's going to live at the top here. But let's do some changes. So we're going to select this, go to character panel here, and make sure your font is set to Acumen Pro condensed and then bold. Make sure that's the case here. And then let's size it down to 35 and tracking, set it to 20 and then all caps. Paragraph, make sure you set it to center. And then we're going to select this here and press P to reveal the position property of it. And we're going to take it all the way to the top to about 70. All right, that's good. So it's in the right position. We're going to select this, press Ctrl D to duplicate it and put it right underneath here. Let's select it, press enter, and let's change the name of it to temperature. All right, and next what we're going to do, we're going to select this, press P, and let's move this down to about, let's see, maybe 270. I think that's about right. And then we're going to select this, go back to character panel, and in here we're going to take the size up to 80. So 80 pixels, everything else should be the same. By the way, make sure both of them, this text and that text, make sure both of them have the color white. That's really important. All right, so we have this set up. Next, what I want to do, I want to create a template out of this. So we're going to convert some of these into master properties. So what I want to do, I'm going to right click here. We're going to go to open in Essential Graphics, and we'll see the Essential Graphics window pop up here. We're going to change the name to weather, and it's going to be day. By the way, you don't have to do this, but it's just a good practice. So then what we want to do, we want to drag some of these properties into here. However, notice that the master property right here that we just created, it's actually not supported. You can't really click and drag into this Essential Graphics because it's just not supported, but there's a way around it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the weather composition, and we have already created a new control shape layer that has our drop-down menu. So we're going to select this, press Control C to copy it, and then we're going to go back to the weather day comp, and in here we're going to Control V and paste it. So now we have it in here. Let's center this to the center of our composition. So select it, press Control Home to center it. And if you press E on your keyboard, you'll see that we have our menu in here. That's good. So here's what we need to do. Make sure nothing is selected. Go over here and type the following. We're going to say weather. So now we have weather menu right here. It's just a menu. It doesn't do anything because it's not linked to anything. But we do have this master property that does something, right? If you change it to snow, you're going to see snow. If you go back to thunderstorm, you're going to see thunderstorm. So, but I want to link this one to that one because that one we can drag into this. So let me undo this. So it's pretty simple. Just pick whip to it like this. And now this menu is controlling that one. I mean, they're both identical, but it's just a way around it. So now you can say thunderstorm and you'll see thunderstorm. However, this time we can actually drag it into this Essential Graphics panel and we'll see it in here. So now we can change this to weather. All right, so we have the first one, but make sure nothing is selected. We're going to add on to the selection. We're going to say comma, and then we're going to say source text. All right, next we're going to select the day, this day right here. We're going to click and drag on the source text property and put it right above this. And we're going to change the name of it to day. It's going to be our current day, right? Monday, Tuesday. And then we're going to select this temperature, which is this right here. And we're going to move it, the source text, right in between the two. And we're going to change the name of it to temperature. All right, so we have the setup we want. That's all we need to do. So we have the first template. So next, what I want to do, I want to go back to the project panel here. And in here, I'm going to select this weather day, the one we just created. And we're going to create a duplicate of it. So I'm going to select this, press Control D to duplicate it. Select it again, press Enter. And we're going to rename this to, instead of day, we're going to say today. All right, double click in here. And we're going to make some adjustments. So the whole composition, let me get rid of this so you can see better. So the whole composition is going to change in size. We're going to make it a bit wider. So press Control K on your keyboard to go to the composition settings. And for width, we're going to take it up to 300 like this. That's all we're going to do. So now it's a bit wider. Obviously, we need to adjust the background. So go into the size property here and change the size of it to 300. All right, so that's good. And then here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the weather composition, that one, select it, press S to reveal the scale property, and let's take it up to 55%. So it looks much bigger. Then temperature, we're going to scale that up as well, but not in our timeline. We're going to scale it up in the character panel. So we're going to go here and we're going to take it up to 110 pixels. All right, then we're going to do the same thing for day. We're going to go back in here and we're going to take it up to 50. All right, that's all the changes we're going to do in the timeline. However, we do need to update the Essential Graphics panel. So we're going to right click here and open in Essential Graphics panel. In here, we're going to change day. We're going to change the name of it from day to city because now it's going to be the city. In fact, let's do that. We're going to update this to something like New York. All right, so that's good. Okay, we have everything set up. One more thing, you might want to change the name, just a good practice. We're going to say weather today. So everything's looking good. We have templates for all of that. Now we're going to use both of these to create a weekly weather forecast. So let's go back to the weather forecast comp in here. Now we can create our own weekly weather forecast. So let's get rid of this panel and let's start creating. So the first thing I want to drag into this composition will be today. So we want to know the city name. That's going to be the first one that we're going to see. So I'm going to select this and move it. Make sure you have to select it and move it to the left. Okay, then I'm going to select day and move it right underneath here. I'm going to select this, press Enter to rename it to day 1. And then make sure snapping is checked. And then you just go to the bottom left corner here and click and drag and then snap it to this corner. This feature is amazing. I love it. Now, the reason why I labeled this one day 1 is this, because once you duplicate it, so if you select this, press Control D and duplicate it, you can see it labels day 2 automatically, which is very useful. So it will definitely save you some time. So now we have a duplicate, but we'll do the same thing. Click and drag and snap it to this corner. And essentially, you just create the whole week. So we'll need 7 of them. So do that a couple of times. Select this, Control D, duplicate it, and attach it to this. Anyway, this feature right here, snapping, is unbelievable. I love it. So we need to do 2 more. So Saturday, right here, and then last one, Sunday. All right. So that's it. We have the whole thing created. Now we're going to select all of them and we're going to center them on the X. So let's do this. Just select them and kind of move them around to where it's somewhat centered. Doesn't need to be perfect, but that's good. All right, so next I'm going to bring in an animated background video to put behind this graphic. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to select this assets folder and then press Control I to go into import file window. And in here, we're going to navigate over to footage. And we're going to select this BG white background video. Make sure create composition is not checked. Press import, and then you'll see it in here. So then you just put it right under everything. And now we have something very interesting. So you can leave it at that. That can be a very dynamic, I guess, template for like a weekly weather forecast. You can go into like the first one today, and you can go into master properties, and you can adjust like the city. You can right click and go to edit. You can type something else like Charlotte and press OK. And you can see it updates it. You can also change the temperature. You can say something like 75. And there you have it. You can adjust the weather here. So you can say, let's be sunny. And there you have it. It's working. You can also go to day 5, which is Friday. And the same concept here. You can go to master properties. And in here, you can say edit, right click, and then edit value. And we can change it to Friday. And then we can do temperature, right click, edit value, maybe something like 55. And then we can say snow. All right, so something like this would work. You can do it like that. However, what I want to show you next is how we can link up the data that you see in our composition to the external data file, like a JSON file. All right, so let's link up our data to the JSON file. And to do that, we need to bring in a JSON file into After Effects. So let's select this assets folder and press Control I to go into import file window. And in here, we're going to navigate over to documents. And then in here, we're going to select this weather forecast.json file and make sure create composition is not checked. Press import. So now we have it in here. Now, let me show you what it actually looks like. So let's right click and go to reveal in Explorer. So this is the JSON file. I'm going to double click to reveal it. So essentially, it's just a text file. It has a couple lines of code, but it's really not that complicated. If you want to learn more about JSON files, how to create them, how to use them in After Effects, you should definitely check out one of my YouTube videos. The link to that is at the bottom of this video. Just click on it, watch it, learn more about it. But essentially, here's what it looks like. Each line of code represents each graphic. So for example, this first one right here, we have city. That's the name of the property, right? That's the property, and that's the value of that property. So we have city, which is that, and then it's going to say New York. Right? And then we have temperature, it's the name of the property. And then the value of it is 80 degrees. So that would be 80, that one right there. So then we have weather, it's set to 4. And number 4 means number 4 on the list in the drop-down menu. So that's what that means. Then we have day 1, Monday, right? That's this one right here. So day property right here would be Monday. It would say Monday right here. Then temperature would say 70 right there. And then weather, it would be 2, whatever that number 2 is in the drop-down menu, that's the icon we'll see. So essentially, we'll take this information and we'll link it up to our data and then make it work. And you might be wondering, how is that useful? Well, it's useful because then we can just update this text document. Whatever we change here, and if we hit save, it will automatically update in After Effects. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So let's do that. So we do have our data file in here. So the way it works, it's very simple. Just click and drag and move it into your composition. And now we have it in our composition. Obviously, you don't see anything in here because it's a data file. It has all the data you need in here. So just navigate over to it. You can see that it organizes it for us. And right here, each tab or each group represents each graphic. So day 0 would be the current day. Day 1 would be Monday. So if you go into it, you can see day 0 has a property called city, which is that, and then temperature, and so on. So if you set up your JSON right, and once you bring it into After Effects, it will be like this. However, the problem is we have a lot of data to go through, and linking these properties, right? We'll have to essentially link this to the master properties, right? Of day, like the current day, to these, right? So city would go into city, temperature would go into temperature, and so on. But it's a bit messy. So let me show you the best way to kind of link them up. Here's what we're going to do. Deselect everything, press U to kind of uncollapse everything. And then here's what we do. We're going to select the JSON file and then control select today. So we're selecting the graphic and the JSON file. So then we're going to press Control F and go into the timeline search bar. In here, we're going to search for master, which is the master property, right? We see the master properties. And then we're going to search for, we're going to say comma day 0. So day 0 was the current day, right? So now we can just go through them. We have city, city. So just link them up using this pick whip. So link them up, and now we are linked up. So you can see the name of the city changed to New York, 80 degrees, and then it's sunny. So it's that simple. Then you do that to the rest. So again, all you need to do is just select the JSON file and then control select day 1. And then go over here and change 0 to 1, because now we're dealing with day 1. So then it'll give us day 1 tab right here with all the info we need. And then we just need to link them up. So link day to day, temperature to temperature, and then weather to weather. It's that simple. You just repeat that process over and over. So again, by the way, there's a keyboard shortcut that will help you big time. So if you hit Tilt key on your keyboard, if you hover your mouse over any window, let's say this one, and if you hit Tilt key, it will basically make it full screen. So we'll do the same thing for this timeline. We're going to hover over it and hit Tilt. And you can see it will make it full screen, which is great, very useful. So now we are done with day 1. We're going to select the JSON file and then day 2. And then we're going to change this to 2. So now we're going to collapse all of these and link day to day over here, temperature to temperature. And obviously it's very repetitive, so you get the concept here. So I'm going to pause the video, make sure you go through every single one of them, and then we'll meet at the end. All right, so that is it. As you can see, I linked all of my data to the data in my composition here. So now I can easily change this data file, JSON file, and it will automatically adjust it in here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's say instead of New York, we're gonna say Boston. So let's type Boston. And then maybe temperature can go down to, I don't know, 65. And maybe just say 1. I think it's cloudy maybe, I'm not sure. And then maybe for Monday, let's make it a thunderstorm, 5, and let's take it down to 55, and that's good. So you get the idea. You can change all this stuff, and then once you're done, just press Control S to save it. And then if you go back to After Effects, you can see all of that stuff will adjust instantly. All right, well, this is the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching it. If you want to learn more about expressions, definitely take our course at ukramedia.com/expressions. All of the links I mentioned are below this video. But until next time, my name is Sergey Prakhnevsky, and this is ukramedia.com.